Alright guys, TacticalRab here today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. Despite FaZe probably being favourites for this event now, given the way the bracket has worked out so far, that does not mean they are immune from the drama of the Call of Duty world. Katie Bedford calling out aBeZy's attitude so far in this game. Tupac Thugler was not happy about it at all. Drama kicking off on the timeline, but also behind closed doors, I imagine as well. Could that disrupt their flow for the rest of the weekend? Very much enjoying your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. Really upset the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that. We've got plenty to discuss today. Firstly, wanted to mention the challenger side just real quick in terms of who's actually going on to the winners bracket effectively. This was Doug's team taking a 3-1 control victory to, send Clayster and co down to the losers bracket. I mean, this guy's honestly out of control, to be honest, but it was cool to see the initial reaction here actually after he just won this map, standing up. Like, this is what Challenger's Call of Duty is all about, to be honest. And it's good to see Doug making a run, honestly, especially given, as we talked about briefly yesterday, that earlier this year, Fellow and co that's on Clayster's team effectively dropped center for Clayster because Clay was coming to Challengers, they wanted him instead, and then, Doug gets his revenge right here, and he honestly continued to make a run, winning a Game 5 round 11, I believe, up against Team War, one of the other kind of favourites from the European side, to move on to a pretty respectable bracket position. So as Doug points out, they play for top 6 tomorrow. Let's get it, he reckons. There was, of course, other teams doing phenomenal things that are going to be very hard to stop indeed. Scrappy's team, I believe, didn't even lose a map yesterday. It's they're going to be hard to beat, as you can see here. The winners bracket, thanks to CDC Intel pointing this one out. Scrappy and Co versus Assault and Co. That's kind of one of the winners bracket games. Prestinni's playing with Classic Diamond Con and Royalty. They play Panda and the boys. They've been looking good as well. That's, of course, Doug's team playing Kaiser. That's kind of the previous, Stallions roster, right? The Sensors boys might even be favourites in, and then we've got Gizmo, Beans and Co. The kind of, European Ultra Academy versus, Neptune, MajorManiak, Brack, and the rest of the guys, and some of the other notable bracket teams here in the losers bracket, like Clayster and Co, for example, like even, Real and Metals, the Rokkr Academy Europe, or Rokkr Academy, I'm pretty sure, I don't have a North American one, they're down here as well. So excited to see how that one will go over the coming days, but Doug seemingly trying to make a run, and of course that was a big thing yesterday with the whole Boston Breach situation, is that I wonder what they're going to try and do, just because, their team coming top 12 here, they look in a relatively precarious position with Minnesota, with Toronto, with Seattle Surge making a charge up the kind of standings here. On Los Angeles Thieves putting some points up as well, Boston find themselves potentially, along with LAG, in a bit of a sketchy situation, right, especially if New York can actually pull something together stage 5, stage 4, but it's not going to be so easy for them to do. But who knows if Doug could be potentially part of their plans if he's playing like he is in the Challengers world right now. Just wanted to mention the optics side, of course, real quick. Saw some kind of good footage from their matches yesterday. They didn't lose a map yesterday, of course. That's a good sign for Optic going into today, but of course things get more difficult as time progresses. They play either FaZe or Los Angeles Thieves today, either of which should probably be a harder game. Depends how Thieves play, of course, because if they do play Thieves again like they did just last week in the online matches, that was not too much of a difficulty for them. But if Thieves are somehow good in Search and Destroy now, like they were against Rokkr, it's a different story. Who knows how things will go against FaZe, especially if FaZe are having a little bit of a difficult time. Of course, they looked pretty good. aBeZy has been very much up and down, as has Simp, I think, so far this season, but aBeZy did have that crazy takeover game towards the end of the series. They played against Ultra, which pretty much got them over the line, and of course, aBeZy and Simp, you can always rely on them to have good maps from time to time, but so far in this game, they really haven't been quite the force as a duo that they have been in the previous couple of years, let's just say, and maybe part of that is due to aBeZy actually not putting in quite the time and effort to this game than he has done in previous games. And if Katie Bedford's saying like what she is saying, we'll have to look right now, then is it possible that some of this actually is going on behind the scenes? Probably. There's no kind of smoke without fire, if you know what I'm saying, but aBeZy isn't so convinced that this is representative of the reality. But Arcitys did say a few days ago, GG's Minnesota, when they got 3-0'd, got rolled, getting effort gapped, he said. It's like effectively we're putting in less effort than a lot of the other top teams. They still come in here, they win their round 1 match against Ultra, they pretty much always beat Ultra though, that must be said. Now they're here against Thieves. If they win that one, they play either Florida Mutineers or the Seattle Surge to guarantee a spot in the grand finals, and who would be surprised at this point if FaZe make their 3rd grand finals in a row out of 3 majors. But this is what Katie Bedford has to say last night. So of course she was a former kind of host of the Analyst a couple of years ago. She's now dating S&D coach for Atlanta FaZe, Tupac Thugler, and she kind of goes rogue on stream. So Gertrude was going off last night. We'll see a little bit more of this in a second. So the drama was everywhere. But effectively I'll share the clip for you guys. She says aBeZy doesn't want to practice, doesn't want to show up to weights, doesn't try, and is trying to become the worst version of Dashi. I was kind of throwing some strays in Dashi's direction. Of course, this season I think Dashi is very much a different force than what he has been in the last couple of years. But we know that Dashi in previous years, sleeping in, not really turning up to scrims, frustrations that caused the rest of the team. And Katie actually reckons that aBeZy is trending in a similar direction, at least on this game.
How'd they end up? Did they win last night?
Yeah, 3-1.
Oh, let's go. The one map they lost wasn't S&D, was it?
It was, yeah.
Oh no.
Well, I mean, that's what happens when aBeZy doesn't want to practice, doesn't show up to 8s, doesn't like the game, doesn't try, and it's trying to become the worst version of Dashy. I'm like, what do you expect? Like John can be the best coach in the world and be the best at S&D in every game, but if they're never going to listen to him and they don't want to try when they practice, or they just won't show up after hours, like, he can't. It sucks for him.
So what makes this really spicy is they're like, okay, exactly where has this come from, right? Because of course she's dating Tupac. So what this probably means is that, Tupac's been telling her some things about what's been going on in the FaZe camp behind the scenes. It's like, first of all, he's got to think, okay, I'm going to say, maybe I shouldn't have said that, or maybe I didn't expect her to go so rogue, or whatever the case is. But look, when a clip like this comes out, when someone like this is going to say this type of stuff on social media or on Twitch or whatever, it's going to get posted on socials, it's going to get talked about. That is just how it works. And I'm sure he's pretty frustrated that this has happened, right? Because it's not a good look on him, first of all. The fact that he was probably saying this stuff to his girlfriends, and then it gets leaked out here. Like, maybe that's his perspective on what is going on right now that she's kind of come out with, right? Or maybe she's just kind of making her own perceptions on what he's kind of said, reading between the lines, this type of stuff. But still, it's quite the statement nonetheless. aBeZy isn't so convinced. He comes back with effectively the clown emoji, which probably will have to make an appearance here on the thumbnail. But of course, look, we've seen so far this season, aBeZy doesn't seem to like this game. Everyone has said it. The likes of Parasite said as well, he hates this game, doesn't have a good time at all. And in fairness, if you wanted to rank aBeZy right now in terms of best SMGs, despite the crazy 40 bomb he dropped a couple of days ago, he's probably not too far into the kind of top 10 SMGs in the game range, right? He hasn't been that good so far this year. Yeah, they're still number one in the CDL standings, but that's just going to FaZe doing FaZe things, to be honest. And of course, like, he still has incredible takeover potential, but this is a kind of a key issue, right, for the FaZe guys. If he's not putting in this effort, not showing up to 8, doesn't really put in the time that he needs to, like, FaZe are not going to be the successful team and quite as successful as they were last season. That doesn't mean to me that they're going to split up anytime soon. I think they won't do that really. Like, of course, look, it's Vanguard at the end of the day. They're probably going to say, look, if we don't win an event this entire season, let's just stick it into next year and see how it goes. But it's an interesting sign, actually, the fact that if a team is so good, like Cold War seemingly dominated that game, and then all of a sudden aBeZy, when things start not going his way, isn't really putting in the time and putting in the effort, then, what does that mean for the future of this squad? Because if that continues into next year, for example, then do Simp and aBeZy say, okay, actually, is Simp happy with this? Like, is the rest of the team happy? Like, Cellium, of course, probably the only one who's, like, truly grinding the game, seemingly, at least kind of based on the rumors we currently have. Are frustrations going to come out there? Are there going to be tensions behind the scenes now between their S&D analyst and Tupac and the rest of the guys? Because aBeZy kind of knows, oh, damn, this guy said this about me behind the scenes to his girlfriend, then she leaked it. Like, it's not exactly creating a great situation on the front end, but also behind the scenes, behind closed doors. I'm sure there's a bit of friction here, right, between what's going on behind the scenes. So maybe they can get past this, but yeah, definitely intrigued to your perspective on it. Now, Tupac, of course, wasn't happy about this. Fair play to not deleting this tweet. I believe it's not deleted yet, but he tweets this out to Gersh. Talentless gimp starting drama for impressions, shaking my head. Now, this is what I don't really understand about the whole, like, shooting the messenger situation. It's like, it's not Gersh's fault that Katie Bedford said this on stream. Like, if she says this, if someone was going to post it regardless, I'm pretty sure Gersh didn't even clip this. Someone else clipped it, and therefore it was going to get out there regardless. So it's not Gersh's fault for tweeting this out on the socials. It's happened in the past on this channel as well, when I've talked about something that a pro has done, and I'm like, well, I didn't make you do that. You did it, and then we're talking about it, right? That's the news. That's kind of how things work. So I don't really understand this kind of shoot the messenger stuff. And Gersh does respond and says, with all due respect to someone who regularly supports your team, organisation, and players, that's the thing, right? Because Gersh is a social guy for the flag. The flag's kind of FaZe thing, right? So, like, of course, he's related to FaZe to some degree. I don't know how I'm the one starting drama. My job is to post Call of Duty news. When someone says something live on stream in front of viewers, things are going to get clipped. And then he goes on to say, I thought this was kind of spicy as well. I wasn't even the one that clipped it. I'm busy at work right now. In a situation like that where news comes out, it's either I post it or someone else does. The difference is when I post it, people like you can use your platform to target me. So I thought it was, the ratios were pretty impressive here from Gersh, no doubt. He was absolutely on fire yesterday. But yeah, what do you think this means for the FaZe camp in general? Like, at KT, as I say, there's necessarily no smoke without fire, in the sense that there probably is, there probably is some truth to this, at least to some degree. But the whole idea that Tupac might have been saying this stuff because he, of course, has experience day to day with the team, with aBeZy, and how they're kind of performing and behaving behind the scenes, that I wonder if this is going to turn aBeZy to the next level, or is it going to mean that Tupac's kind of place on the team going forwards is a little bit in jeopardy as well, because he seems to have done good work for them. And a lot of people said, okay, why did Huntsman get rid of him when they had the chance to kind of keep him on and they let him go to FaZe? But if this stuff continues, maybe that won't be the case for all that much longer. I thought this was kind of funny as well. I mean, that this guy FL had to FaZe, and he's kind of Twitter name right there when he meets Arcitys for a photo, and Arcitys says this. So look, they're probably going to block out the noise and try and just dial in for the rest of the weekend, but it might affect their strike to some degree that this kind of drama effectively has come out in the middle of the weekend, not even at the end of the weekend. Now, just to mention this before we go on to the schedule for for today. Thought this is kind of funny. If there are any further delays that come through, they effectively did a kind of, well, bouncing control to ultra logo around the screen. They hit the corner. The crowd went absolutely wild. Like, this is good stuff, right? You've got to prepare for delays that will inevitably happen. This is a pretty cool way to do it. And hopefully, well, thankfully, yesterday, it wasn't all that long. And today, hopefully, it is a very long day once again, but it's starting earlier than the traditional CDL start time, 3 o'clock Eastern, but it's starting the same time as yesterday. 5 games today. We start off with the remaining losers bracket game, go into winners bracket, and then eliminate 2 more teams. So by the end of today, does that mean, what, 5 teams got eliminated yesterday, 3 more teams are going to get eliminated today. So on Sunday, of course, only the top 4 will survive for the rest of the tourney. And this is the overall thing. Wanted to just say real quick is that the CDL, like every single day, they get something wrong. Either it's the schedule they get wrong, or it's one of the kind of matches they get wrong here, because they tweeted this out firstly with a graphic that's saying that Optic were going to play the loser of Florida and Seattle, which doesn't make any sense, right? Because obviously they're going to flip the brackets because Optic already played Florida, so they're not going to let them play again in the top 6 match effectively. If they are going to play again, it's going to be later on in the tourney, and what that also meant, the way they had it with these 2 flipped around, is that it meant that Minnesota or Toronto were going to play either FaZe or Thieves, and FaZe and Thieves had just played their games. So that didn't make any sense. So like, people have just got to double check these graphics to make sure they're right, because everyone looked at it and was like, that's wrong. There's no way Optic are playing Florida or Seattle. Like, it's going to be the other way around. The bracket is going to flip there down to losers bracket. So, you know, hopefully they can actually make sure from now on, especially as the official CDL outlets, that they can actually get this stuff right first time. But here we go. This is actually how it's going to work. So Rokkr do play Ultra in elimination round 2. This is such a tough one to call. I feel like, again, this is probably going to be a game 5, right? These teams love a similar situation like that. I'm really not sure how to predict this one. I feel like the way that Rokkr played yesterday, I was rather impressed with. But Ultra should be very solid as well. So I really don't know. I feel like, yeah, game 5 round 11. I'm going to give it to Rokkr, maybe just about, but I'm not actually sure that that's a good idea at all. But you know, we'll see. I think this is such a tough series to call, to be perfectly honest. And maybe the respawns for Rokkr have just been slightly better, so I might just slightly edge in their favor. But it's tough to say. Then we've got the 2 winners bracket games. So the loser of this one goes out top 8. The winner of these next 2 series is guaranteed top 3. I just don't think Mutineers can keep up the level they played against Optic. Like, they had Skies and Awakening just going absolutely off that series. I just don't think it's going to be able to continue. Surge are just too solid right now across the board. I think they're going to take Mutineers down something like a 3-1. Could be a different story, but Mutineers are kind of the classic team. I always talk about this. They win like one good series, or like a couple of good series that makes them think, okay, wow, this roster's it. We're going to win championships with this roster, and then it falls apart shortly after. So I'd be surprised if that doesn't happen again. I feel like they probably just come top 6 this tournament at the end of the day. Then you've got Thieves, FaZe. It's tough to look past FaZe here. I don't know though. Thieves look pretty good against Minnesota, especially in their kind of search and destroys. But Rokkr went on to say that after the fact that actually they were kind of changing up their search and destroy strats, were doing things they weren't really used to. So maybe Thieves kind of got away with one there to some degree. I think FaZe might be too good, but who knows if the event of last night will be affecting kind of their mental going into this series at all. But similar to Mutineers, I doubt that Thieves can really keep up the performance they had against Minnesota, against a team that's so good all across the board that FaZe is. So I'm going to take Surge and FaZe advancing into the winners finals on Sunday. And then, of course, in my bracket, we've got Minnesota playing I guess, Florida here, and I reckon the Minnesota are going to go through again, and then Optic play Thieves. And I think if that is the case, we'll get a repeat for the final series of what happened just a few days ago where Optic managed to take them down. But I think it's going to be a harder fought series, this one, if it is this one that they play, than what we had a couple of days ago. Just to look at the bracket then, just to make things very clear, at the end of the day, 2 teams will be guaranteed to the winners finals and be top 3. A further 3 teams will go home, and 2 teams will have gone through to face each other here. So potentially Optic, potentially Ultra, potentially Rokkr, whatever it could be. Only 4 teams will survive with a chance to win this tournament at the end of the day. But very much into your thoughts and all this stuff in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hit a like button. Tells your YouTube gods it's a good video, and I was like you should see it as well. And I hope grow the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you as always. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you next time.